we are back. Episode 5 of the Dadletics Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Smith, with
Pat McSweeney.
Dr. Pat. Today we are going to go over top 3 injuries, running injuries that you see in your physical therapy affiliate. But before we get started, I have to tell you about this chicken I found at Costco. So if you've listened to previous episodes, you know Pat enjoys his Costco trips, and most of his food prep is built around Costco. And so went to Costco this week and came across in the deli section, they have the rotisseries, but then they'll take off the meat off the rotisserie and package it. Well, next to that, they have this char-grilled chipotle flavored chicken. And it's like maybe 3 pounds worth. So I grabbed it. I remember seeing it on Instagram. And so this is the first time I feel like I've actually seen it there. So I grabbed 2 bags. I'm like, man, and look at the macros. I think they use breast. Like, the macros are amazing.
Yeah.
So I grabbed two bags of it, brought it home, and made it's like a cilantro lime rice, and then used that chicken. So basically made like a chipotle bowl. Dude, it's amazing.
My wife's going to be jealous listening to this. She's going to listen to this at some point. But she sent me to Costco for that chicken yesterday. Which we go to different locations. I looked everywhere. Maybe I missed it. But ended up with some other alternatives, like little carnitas, little chimichurri beef, which I'm excited about both of those. We're going on vacation next week. And we're tasked with making tacos one night. So she was looking for the chipotle chicken. I couldn't find it. So I'm going to have to look harder next time.
Yeah, I think it could be a nice little change up to your beef and rice and kids veggie mix.
I think I'll try it. I'll give it a go.
The nice thing about it is, again, I'm sure they put something in it to make it last a little bit longer than normal, but it can sit in your fridge. I think the expiration was like a month maybe, but you can also freeze it.
Well, it's like vacuum sealed.
Yeah, it's vacuum sealed, so you can freeze it and have it. So I'm like, I'm going to buy a ton of these because... Again, I have a class reunion coming up, so food prep, we're going to get back later on Sunday. I'm just going to take that out and make some rice, and then that's my food prep for the week. I make it super easy.
I'll try to find it next time I go. I go every couple weeks.
Yeah.
Just to...
I think the only thing I saw that possibly could throw some people off is they use soybean oil.
Okay.
So if you're, I know it's not your grass-fed beef that they're using. Right. Who knows if they're pasture-raised chickens? Sure. The soybean oil could throw some people off. That's right. I think. Well, we won't get into that debate.
Maybe sounds worth a shot for sure. Another
conversation.
Costco, holler.
Costco. But that's also I think people want to know, because when we do travel. What your number one go-to when you eat out is Chipotle.
Chipotle
right?
is the go-to.
Same. Yeah. I mean, I pretty much get that every night.
Yeah.
And take that back to my room.
Yep.
So let's hear Dr. Pat's Chipotle order.
You got it.
Because I doubt you change it up ever.
It's the same every time.
After that.
I'm consistent if nothing else. So, brown rice bowl. First off, bowl. Even if I'm getting it for there, I get a lid because I need to be able to mix things up. So brown rice.
Why brown rice?
Oh no, I just like brown rice.
Sounds good. Okay.
Both beans. Fajitas.
Don't want to be in that bed.
Chicken. Just me on the road. So, chicken, or I'll get steak sometimes. So I guess I will mix it up.
Just one single order?
Just one.
Okay.
Get some protein from the beans. So,
yep.
I get pico. The green salsa, corn. Sometimes, not very often, I'll get a little bit of sour cream and cheese. That's it. Sometimes I go to a bag of chips, depending on what kind of day it's been. But how about you?
So I do if I have the calories, I start with a tortilla shell in the bed of the bowl.
Okay, I like that.
Then I go white rice, but I'm opposite of what you're going to see on viral videos of Chipotle, where it's
rice.
More rice.
Yeah.
More rice. I need a scoop, and I need it to be level scoop, because I know that scoop is exactly 4 ounces, and that's what my MyFitnessPal is telling me.
Yeah.
So I do 1 scoop of white rice. I'll throw in some fajitas. No beans for me.
Okay.
Don't waste my time on beans. And again, depending on the day, on the macros needed, it's either single order chicken or double.
Okay.
Once in a while I'll do chicken and barbacoa if I'm feeling a little...
Ooh, one of each.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have them like make sure the scoop on the meat is
I
the same, or you're a little more like...
I feel like they're
that?
pretty tight on meat when they're scooping.
That's true. Yeah.
Rice is rice.
Grab
yeah. So,
all right.
I think chicken's a little bit more doable there. And then I do the pico, the corn, and then I get sour cream in a cup.
Okay.
So if you're on MyFitnessPal, it's like 2 ounces.
Okay.
Well, you know they're scooping way more than 2 ounces.
The amount of times I've said a little bit of sour cream, and then they just load it up. Like,
and
come on.
So if you get it on the side, it comes in, I think, like 3.5 ounces.
Okay.
So you can kind of take 3/4
parcel
of
it out.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
And then...
Chips? No chips?
No chips.
Okay.
There's so many calories, so much
bad.
fat. I never have room for them, but yes, they are amazing.
So good.
But I always skip cheese. To me, unless cheese is melted, I think it's just a waste of calories.
See, on a taco, I disagree, because I think a taco, like a cold, like not cold, but like a room temperature cheese is kind of nice. It's a different texture.
I think the sour cream overtakes the cheese.
It does.
So it's like that's the fat. In my opinion, I'd rather get the fat from the sour cream.
That's fair.
And I do throw lettuce on there, just free calories.
Yeah.
So now as you're eating the top, you get the best of both worlds, because I'm eating the bowl
Burrito.
But as soon as it dives in and it collects all the juices, you roll it up into a burrito.
See, I used to get the tortilla on the side, make my own mini burrito with the bowl. I don't do that anymore, and I justify it by getting. Then now I get chips.
That's fair. Well, I would say on a day like that, you don't need Element.
Yeah,
because your
salt.
Your sodium intake is probably over 3,000 milligrams.
Yeah,
in that meal with chips.
That's a lot. Fun fact: in high school, I have mentioned before, I was large, but on a bet, I ate 4 Chipotle burritos was the bet. I ate 3 3/4 basically. So.
Fun fact.
And it didn't ruin it for me, even though most of it ended up on the table at a certain point. But yeah, so Chipotle has always been near and dear to my heart when it comes to fast food, like fast casual, eating out in general.
Yeah, it's just hard to beat flavor, macros. Again, the sodium is high, but anywhere you eat, if you're eating out, you're going to get high sodium. So I'm mindful of that.
Yeah.
When I do have it, but anyways. We'll get back on track here.
That was the main event, though, for today.
Yeah, I had to bring that up. So we'll get into today's workout.
Yeah.
So today's workout, we did some more critical velocity. The prescribed workout was 6 to 8 reps at 800 meters with a standing 1 minute rest.
Yep.
So I unfortunately had to do this on Tuesday. Again, I have a class reunion on Saturday. My long run is tomorrow, which is 17 miles. So I made the executive decision that I had to do this on Tuesday, spread it out. So I went and ran 9 miles. Luckily, Nick had done a hard workout in the week, and he just ran easy miles too.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I hated that everybody was, not that I wasn't working hard, but everybody was getting it in. I didn't feel as if I was part of the group, and I really disliked that.
Yeah.
Next week I'm able to fit in the workout, but I just know going forward I'm not going to be able to do it often.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. It's just part of this training block. It's,
We'll get back to it. I mean, I think the Sunday off day has worked super well for you, so I think it makes sense to do Wednesday workout and then Saturday long run.
So anyways, I did do mine Tuesday solo a little later in the day, so I got the heat effect.
Yeah. Which
was a mental struggle.
Totally.
But we can get to it. But you actually did it today.
Oh, yeah.
So let's get into how it went for you today. What were you looking to do? What did you do? What were the vibes like with the group?
Yeah, so for me, I was looking to... So I did, for that 6x1K that we did 2 weeks ago, I think it was, I ended up averaging about 6:18. So I was thinking with a little bit shorter reps, but I mean, more volume, I'd be close to that, hopefully maybe a little bit faster. and ended up averaging, 306 for the 8 reps.
Okay.
So it ended up being probably like a 6:14-ish as far as pacing. So I was super happy with that.
Good.
Definitely didn't feel like sleep's been a little rough this week just with the kids. So the last couple nights particularly have been just a little tough, up fairly often throughout the middle of the night. So this morning just woke up feeling a little sluggish. But honestly, like, the beauty of Dadletics is, in any group, like, you show up, everybody's getting after it, like, there's a big team effort that goes into these workouts, even though we're all kind of doing our own
It
thing.
probably never crossed your mind of, maybe I shouldn't go today.
No. Not even a little bit.
If it was by yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you may be like, sleep's been poor.
Yeah. Or I'll pull back a little bit. I'm not going to try to hit that same target that I would have got today. And I mean, I'll tell you, like, I felt it. Like, those last 2 reps really is where it started to feel. Honestly, number 6, I was like, okay, if I can get through number 6, I'll get through this and feel fine. But those last 2 reps were tough for sure. Which I think that's the goal.
Yeah. What's great again is we've talked about this is Andrew's right there up with you, pushing you.
Yep.
Which is,
that was big this morning. Like, we were neck and neck the whole time, which was great because we were both hurting, I think, towards the end, but talking to each other throughout and just like, all right, we got this. Like, positive talk the whole time.
Yeah, and some of the things that I picked up on was, one, we had another great group. I think we had almost 15 people. And what was great is, again, it was prescribed 6 to 8, and you just kind of let people go, but there was the guys that had been doing this a while. They pushed themselves to 8, and then there's some that just recognized that, hey, I'm not there yet.
This is where I'm at.
This is where I'm at, and 6 is the stimulus I want to get, and cut it there. So, yeah, seemed like great.
Yeah, it was definitely. I mean, this morning humidity was hot. Like, that was one of probably the sweatiest workouts that we've had.
It was hot. I mean, yesterday afternoon, it rolled from yesterday into today.
Yeah, so that, I mean, like, dew point was in the 70s, temperature was in the 70s, humidity was somewhere in the 90s. So it was toasty this morning.
Yeah.
But
it's cool. It seemed like there was a new guy that popped in who had been at the track.
Yeah, I remember seeing him before.
And he's like, yeah, I saw you guys, you've been here, I've been here too, and so I figured I'd just join you guys.
Awesome.
I'm like, absolutely. That's what this is all about.
It's cool.
So, yeah.
How'd it go for you on Tuesday?
Yes. So, my goal, I had a band of like a 255 to 258. Again, this is kind of the band of that sub 3 hour marathon. Not 100% equivalent, but where I should be, if that's truly realistic. But based off my training, I felt like that was kind of where I was going to be. Yeah. So I did have to do it later in the day, which I say later, it's 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Which for us is later in the day.
Right.
But the sun's out. The temperatures, I think it felt like 80.
Yeah.
So that was real, but I didn't want to get into it because I could have went in and said, hey, I'm going to cut back a couple seconds. But I was like, let's just feel it out, see what happens. And so went in and hit 257s for the first half, and then ended up working it down to 255, and then the last one I decided to let it rip a little bit. But what I was telling you is my first 400s, I was like 122 to 124s, and I guess so now it's slow down, and so I kind of was like working the clock a little bit. So as that last 100, I was kind of coasting in versus pushing it.
Okay.
And that's really what the difference was on that last one. Instead of just easing in, I just kind of kept hammering and did a 247.
Yeah.
So average was a 255, which I think is a 550 minute mile pace.
That's awesome.
So again, maybe on the borderline of critical velocity 5K.
Pushing,
not quite VO2. But again, context is everything. We did this workout similar September of 2025. Not sure if you remember. We did 6 by 800s, 90-second standing rest. So I did an extra 2 reps, got 30 seconds less, and I averaged 257s.
Yeah.
Which again, you're saying, a couple seconds. But at the same a couple seconds, and that is actually
with less rest
is a big deal. So less rest, but again, the heart rate is the biggest issue. So again, my heart rate should have been slightly higher because of the heat, right? The effort should have been higher, but I maxed out on Tuesday at 173, and when I look back in September, I was 178. So I was pushing almost max. So in that perspective, we were chasing more VO2, if I remember correctly. And so 257 was kind of like my VO2, where I feel like I was not pushing VO2 on this.
Yeah. Well, and the weather probably was a little better for that workout too.
Right,
so,
correct.
I mean,
so I was maxing out
a lot of
VO2.
variables.
So again, a year later, here I am, running faster, lower heart rate, and again, that's the goal.
Question for you: like I've noticed when the conditions are a little tougher. I mean, that's what everything would tell you is like heart rate should go higher, should feel like you're working harder in general. I find my heart rate cannot get as high. Like I feel like I cannot access that top end, versus in like a cooler weather.
Yeah,
I can really drive that heart rate up a little bit more. Maybe that's just like a personal thing that I can't push myself hard enough. But
right.
That's what I've noticed, like physiologically, is like my heart rate ends up being slightly lower on these days.
Interesting.
Versus like in the cold weather, I feel like it is when I can touch those max zones.
I haven't seen any correlation to that.
Yeah, I was curious.
Can't say I've ever deep dived into that. I mean, I suppose I should start recording temperatures.
Yeah.
In my data sets.
If you're gonna do it,
right? No, I would say I probably run true to what it should be. I would say on a hotter day.
Yeah.
Because again, I don't think if it's a hot day, I actually get into that 173. That 173, if you look at it, was like 8 seconds. I was actually in that zone 5 for me.
Yeah.
And it was just the last rep. So I think the heat accumulation helps. Would be so. Yeah, I think I'm true to definition on that.
And I would say, on like easier runs, I definitely notice myself like heart rate drifting a little sooner or things like that.
Yes. So my heart rate, I notice again on these warmer days. When we're in the 70s versus the fall. I mean, I'm definitely probably 3 to 4 beats higher on average.
Yeah.
Same effort. I mean, again, I've done it so many times. I can just tell.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe, like I said, maybe it's a personal thing as far as accessing that.
Yeah.
Last gear.
Yeah. I will say the one thing that I did not account for was food. So being that it was at 8 a.m., I had actually eaten breakfast.
Okay.
Versus a light snack, where typically we do. And so I thought an hour and a half, I ate around like 6:30. I thought that was plenty of time.
Not the case.
I just felt heavy, my stomach. So that was one thing. But but noted for the marathon.
Yeah, because that'll be...
So now, 90 minutes, I need to consider if I'm going to have that big of a meal, probably 2 hours.
Earlier.
2.5 hours out.
Yeah.
So that was a good learning experience.
Totally.
For me.
Yeah.
So I think the toughest thing on that one is just not having anybody.
Yeah.
And you're, pushing those last two reps. And then it's just the miles afterwards. Because again, I'm trying to accumulate all these miles, so I had to get 10 in for the day. So 3 miles by yourself after you felt accomplished.
Yeah.
I think those might be some of the
harder.
Because all you want to go and like pat yourself on the back.
Yeah.
And relax and get some food. And you're like, oh, I have another 20 minutes of easy running by myself on a track in this heat.
Mentally, that is very challenging.
Very challenging.
But you did it.
But we did it.
Yeah.
Got through it. So.
Yeah, I think I was going to say something that I learned from this workout. I think it's the community aspect of things is huge, because on days where I have not felt 100% and being by myself, I think normally I would have been like, I'll dial it back, I'll kind of, not push quite as hard or not push towards that. I start making excuses from the jump. And I think a key lesson for me to take away, and hopefully for everybody to take away is give yourself a chance. Like, do that first rep, because you usually, once you get into it, your body will adapt and accommodate to the effort that you're putting in. And again, if I hadn't had the group this morning, like, I don't know that I would have been able to push to that level.
Yeah, and I think that's real just in general. There's definitely some mornings. I mean, it's not all a fairy tale mornings, right? Like, there's mornings where I know I have to get up and run 8 and it's 5 in the morning and I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But I lace up the shoes. I just get going.
Yeah.
You just gotta.
That's the hardest part.
Get going.
Yeah.
Once you're going, you get in a rhythm, and all is good.
Yeah.
But sometimes I just kind of just zone out, knowing that I'm not in a good place.
Yeah.
And I'm like and that's why I think consistency and routine is so important.
Yeah.
Because if you have a routine, then you can just kind of let your body go on autopilot.
Yeah.
And it knows, okay, it's 5 a.m. We know what we're doing. Shoes on. And it helps you get out the door a little bit better, I've kind of noticed.
I had a question for you too on the 800, like mentally on an 800. What do you think? Like, are you breaking it up? Are you not thinking at all? What's your mindset when you're going after like that style of rep or like a 1K?
Yeah.
What are you doing in those situations?
So I was just thinking smooth.
Okay.
Not trying to look at my watch until the halfway point. So I was just wanting to get a feel. Again, we've done this long enough now. Like, I just want to start dialing what does that feel like. And then I get to the 400, and obviously the feeling was I was going too fast. And so at that
point,
did you
feel like that though? Like,
yeah.
Or did you look at your watch and be like, oh crap, I gotta slow down?
I could tell I was moving a little bit, but it's one of those, like, you're starting to feel it a little bit, and then when you look down and know that you're quicker than pace, it's kind of a good feeling. So,
yeah.
Okay, I can dial back. But then you start having, I would say once you get to the last 200 meters of that 800 is actually when your legs start
feeling it,
yelling at you a little bit, screaming. And that's when I think the self-talk starts to come in of like, dude, you don't need to be out here.
Yeah.
You don't need to be doing this. No one's gonna know. You're putting in like my mind just kept saying like, it's the volume. It's not these high intensity workouts that are gonna make you better. Like, just all this self-talk started coming in, and then you just try to like, no. Yeah. And then I start thinking 50 meters, 100 meters, or counting down, the distance that I have left. Just get to the next one. Yeah. And then obviously the 1 minute break's always nice.
Welcomed.
And then from a rep standpoint, I would say like 4 and 5 is the hardest, right?
Yeah. It's 5 and 6 for
6
for this workout specifically. Like, you get to the halfway point, it's like, all right.
Yeah. So 7 and 8 were, in my opinion, always the easiest. Because just mentally, it's like, all right, 2 left, 1 left.
Yep.
Last one, like whatever. You empty the tank.
Yeah.
So
that's cool. I was just wondering. Andrew and I were talking about that this morning of like, for an 800 specifically, like I was thinking this morning, like I was trying to zone out on that first 400 because I wanted it to feel smooth. Like, I think I wasn't using that as like my self-talk, but I feel like that's what I was targeting.
Yeah.
And wanted it to come fairly naturally and on that first rep or first 400.
Yeah. So we were saying there.
Yeah. And then the last 200 is where I was like, okay, now it's time to like mentally buckle down. Like, this is where the rep is made. Like, try to just stick with it, maintain form, that sort of thing.
Yep.
Versus like legs start to feel heavy at that point, and you start to push a little too much or get a little bit grindy there. So that's kind of what just mentally where I was at, breaking it down into like first 200 smooth, fast, kind of settle in that middle 400 or so, and then last 200 kind of push things.
Taking inventory.
Which I think worked well. And then I do all sorts of mental gymnastics when it comes to like reps and things like that. Like, when we got to 5, like finished 5, 6, 7, 8, I'm like, we had 3 left, and as soon as we started rep 3, I'm like, all right, we have less than 3 left. And like that, for me, for some reason, is just like a big mental boost. Is breaking it down into like some of those smaller segments, I think, just works well.
Yeah.
But
no, it was It was good. Got exactly what we wanted out of it. So I will say though, I am starting. So this is a little update on my marathon prep.
Yeah.
Before we get into the topic of the day. So I just hit 56 a 3-week micro program.
Yeah.
Block, I guess. So what I'll do 3-week build, and then I'm gonna take a back off week. So I have 17 tomorrow, 7 on Saturday, and then that 3-week block's pretty done, which is wild. So I went from 56 miles, 59 miles to 61 miles, and within that block, those are all 3 new records for me.
Distance
records. With that 17 being a true single distance record for me. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting. I feel like I've been handling it well. The legs feel really good. Someone asked how my legs how have they been feeling, and surprisingly really well. But I think one of the biggest things that I've changed is my lower is very supportive.
Strengthening, yeah. It's kind of lower strength.
Lower strength is very supportive now, where I'm really, I think last week, like my main set of strength for my lower was a goblet squat on a slant board at like 50 pounds. Which again, for some people are like, oh, that seems like a lot. But what I was doing, previously, I used to do 5x5 with a safety squat bar, working up to, 275 pounds.
Yeah, percentage-wise for you, that is on the low.
Yeah, so this is like very, very supportive. In and out in 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. So I'm getting zero fatigue, really, in my legs. And I think that's been definitely big for me.
Yeah, and I think your strength background has helped from like a breakdown standpoint.
Yes.
And you've built into this. Like this is, you've been hitting previously 50 miles in the half marathon that you did earlier this year. So I think you've built really well into this. Your strength background I think helps from like just a muscular breakdown standpoint. And then you're handling it really well.
Yeah. However, this morning I'm you had asked if previous episode we talked about sleep, and if I have poor sleep, do I change my training? Mm-hmm. And I've talked about me having a Whoop, and now I have 5 years worth of data on the Whoop, which is, I think, very valuable. Are the metrics on the Whoop 100%? No. But I have a 5-year baseline.
Yeah.
So any changes are real.
And it's good against itself, I would say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point.
Yeah.
And so the last couple nights, I've had some early mornings, wake-ups, but my sleep has been slightly off. I was telling you, like, this morning, I was wide awake at like 3:30.
Yeah.
And couldn't fall back asleep, so ended up only getting 6 hours of sleep. The night before, very similar. And I actually woke up this morning, and my recovery and my Whoop was in the red. My HRV was extremely low, which can be multiple reasons. If you're getting sick, I don't feel sick, typically in the summer. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's that.
Yeah.
Or it could be CNS.
Yeah.
And so all this accumulation, is it catching up to me? Mm-hmm. Did I change my workout today? No. Am I changing it tomorrow? No. But if I wake up tomorrow in the red, and then Saturday in the red, then I'm going to have to get to my rest day, mm-hmm. take inventory probably on Monday.
Yeah.
And may have to adjust based off of that.
Which I think that is hitting at a good time from like a, recovery week, or, dialing that week volume down.
Timing's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll be curious to see how this weekend feels or goes, like especially tomorrow.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's so good, because again, I woke up slightly tired, but I felt fine.
Yeah.
I would never have guessed that I was in a low HRV.
Yeah.
Never have guessed.
Yeah.
So again, the benefit of wearables sometimes is that. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm not changing anything, because everyone's like, well, if I'm in the red, do I not work out? It's like, well, no, I think it's that cumulative average.
Yeah.
What's it look like for 3 or 4 days? And then you can start adjusting if it's low.
Yeah. 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 I think I would not be worried about you with something like that, just because I know your mindset and your mentality. But there are folks that I would be worried about to have a wearable.
Yes.
Because I'm like, you don't need any extra excuses or reasons to
That's fair.
to phone something in because you were in the red or you didn't, your watch is telling you that you aren't feeling good.
Yeah.
Even though you feel fine.
Yeah.
But in your case, like, again, I know, like, one of the most mentally strong people I've ever met. So I wouldn't worry about you in that sense, but I do think for some folks
that's fair. That's fair.
But
anyways, well, let's get on to today's topic. But we're going to talk about the 3 most
injuries.
Key injuries that you see.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get started, I don't know if everybody knows, why are you Dr. Pat? What's your background? Where are you at now?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you able to talk about this?
Yeah.
So give us a little background of why you're a doctor.
So my doctorate is in physical therapy, so I'm a physical therapist. Spend most days treating folks see a lot of runners, a lot of endurance athletes. Like, that's my bread and butter when it comes to clinical practice. Graduated about 10 years ago now from PT school. So I've been doing this about a decade, mostly in that, like, orthopedic and sports realm. Now, like I said, focusing more on running population, triathletes, endurance athletes, ultra runners, that sort of thing. See a fair share of just, like, general orthopedic injuries. But definitely, like, most of my day is spent watching people run, doing a gait analysis, or seeing a runner in the middle of a training block, and talking them through how to manage their training, how to talk through specific injuries or manage specific injuries. So this is what I do on a day-to-day basis.
Okay. So let's get into then. So what do you see?
Yeah.
What are the top 3 most injuries that you see with runners specifically?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That. So the research would back this up too, but I would say clinically this is what I see also.
Are you going? Let's start at. Are they all equal? Or
no.
Okay.
They're not all
so
equal.
Let's start at the least of the 3.
So the coming in third place.
There we go.
Is Shin Splints, or medial tibial stress syndrome, whatever you want to call it. Basically, tenderness over that inside aspect of your tibia. If you've dealt with Shin Splints before, you know what I'm talking about. But basically, you just get a pain along that inside part of your tibia, that bone, your shin bone. And it can be pesky. Like, it can be something that sticks around. But as far as, like, lower leg injuries go, that is by far the most common. Second place would be IT band syndrome.
Okay.
So lateral aspect of the knee, outside of the knee, you get some. There's some debate research-wise. Is it like a friction syndrome? Is it just an irritation of that outside of the knee? But either way you slice it, it's pain in the outside of your knee. Can be pretty debilitating. Like, I've dealt with a little bit of that throughout, like, my running career, and there's been times when I've got done with a run and, like, even taking a step is painful because of that pain in the outside of the knee. So it can be a pretty gnarly one. And then in first place is, and it's aptly named, runner's knee, which is just code for patellofemoral pain is what it's more clinically known as. But it's basically generally anterior front side of the knee pain.
Okay.
That percentage-wise takes up definitely the biggest brunt of, or biggest majority of cases that I see, with then those other 2 kind of filling in.
Okay. So I want to dive into each of those.
Yeah, totally.
Let's go back to Shin Splints.
Mm-hmm.
So I dealt with Shin Splints in college. I had... Really, we could not diagnose it. So I played baseball at Cincinnati. We did, as a pitcher, I pitched, and we did a decent amount of running. I did quite a bit of running on myself, but we were sponsored by Adidas.
Okay.
And we had to wear Adidas shoes, but we weren't really given, like, true running. I mean, I guess they did have true running shoes, but a lot of times we were running, like, baseball turfs.
Yeah.
But I would get this shin splint on my right shin, and again, they couldn't diagnose it. I went in and actually got x-rays or whatever.
Yeah.
It was x-rays probably.
Yeah.
And there was no issues there, but I could not get that thing to calm down. We would ice massage it, did all the things. And so I don't know if there was a direct correlation of like, because it was my right side, which would have been my right side dragging, my big toe dragging along the mound as I came down.
That's your plant leg, like what you're driving off of, right?
Yeah. And then you drag that toe
right
before it came, before your foot came up and over, but could not diagnose it. And eventually just went away.
Yeah.
Knock on wood, I have not had any issues with it since.
Right. Yeah.
So, what are the most? Is there like a list of what are most causes of shin splints?
Totally.
So let's go into what do you see often, and then what's your prescription?
Yeah. So I'm going to preface everything by saying each case is unique and that sort of thing. But I don't want to sit here and just be like, well, it just depends, because then nobody's going to get anything out of this. So
sure,
I'm going to speak in pretty direct terms, assuming like you've been diagnosed with shin splints, or like we know that's what it is. It's not a stress fracture. It's not something else that's causing that pain.
Okay.
So just preface by saying that, because I could, for all of you, just be like, well, it depends on what happens, and that would just be annoying to listen to. So we won't do that. So I'm going to speak very directly, talk through, we've determined it is shin splints. The biggest thing that I see is a imbalance, a mismatch of calf strength versus tib anterior strength. So front of the shin, that muscle that lives just outside of where your shin bone is, called your tib anterior. Everybody knows where their calf is, hopefully. Those two muscles sitting on either side of that tibia play tug of war with one another. So most commonly what I see is a mismatch as far as strength goes within those two muscle groups. And most commonly what I see to improve shin splints is, one, improving the strength in that muscle group specifically. Okay. So that can look like a couple of different things. You can put a band around your foot and do some what's called dorsiflexion, basically bringing your toes up towards you with band resistance. You can work that really well. You can stick your foot in a kettlebell and do the same thing. You can have a tib bar and do the same thing. But from a orthopedic, from an objective standpoint, that is the most common thing I see, is that imbalance from muscles on the front and back of your shin.
Okay. And do you recommend, obviously, that's the strength aspect of it. What about from a load management? Is it if you've been diagnosed with that, is it a stop running, go strength only, or is it, hey, we're gonna keep loading it?
Yeah. So most of the time, I would say I'm always trying to keep people running. I always want folks to keep doing what they're doing, and that's true for whatever sport you're doing. CrossFit, baseball, whatever it is. Sure. I want you to keep doing the thing that brings you joy and that sort of thing. There are times when we have to shut things down, or for a short period of time, but so I would say in general, I'm recommending to people, you can keep running. The buoy I will set out for people is 0 to 10, 10 being emergency room level pain. If it stays below a 3 and doesn't get any worse throughout your run, and then is pretty much gone within 24 to 48 hours, I'm cool with you continuing to run. We can typically work around that with treatment, with strengthening to keep you running, but also address the problem.
Heat or ice?
Usually for that, I'm going to go heat. Again, anatomically, there's a nerve that runs right through that area. So trying to improve blood flow to that can be super helpful. When it comes to the heat or ice debate, it is, believe it or not, one of the most hotly debated things in the rehab world. There will be people that say it's worthless, it doesn't do anything. There will be people that say it's like ice will slow down healing. The evidence, I would say, is inconclusive for all of that. My typical recommendation for something like shin splints would be heat. Usually I've seen work really well. If you're more of an ice person, by all means. But my typical go-to for that specifically is heat. Okay. So, the other thing I was going to bring up, so strength is one aspect of things. Mechanics are another one that we see with shin splints. The most common thing I see is overstriding. So foot landing too far out in front of you in your gait. You can imagine when your foot hits the ground, that tibia anterior muscle is having to do a lot of controlling to not have your foot just like slap to the ground. So when you are landing that way, that can just put a lot of stress on that region. So one of the other things I've found be super helpful in the clinic is working on adjusting some gait mechanics. And that's typically trying to bring that landing zone more up underneath you so you're not fully outstretched. Your hip can help stabilize things a little bit more as well. Takes a little bit of that stress off of the lower leg, takes a little of that stress off of that shin. And that can be something that will change pain pretty quickly.
Shoes?
Shoes, that's a good question. So for shin splints, I'm typically actually recommending something with a little bit less of a drop. So usually with a higher heel to toe drop or more cushion, your tendency is going to be to land with that foot. You can slam that heel into the ground without too many repercussions. So I typically will have people, if they have that available to them, I'd say, hey, you have this flatter pair of shoes. I like the Saucony Kinvara, but any like 4mm drop shoe is kind of what I would typically target.
So obviously barefoot shoes had their day.
Yeah, that's a whole other.
And you still see
topic.
some guys running around in the toe shoes or whatever, the gloves.
Yeah.
Would there be any benefit of that person like going to like a turf football field, running barefoot, easy, to keep that load?
Question. I would say that wouldn't be my first recommendation. I would put them into, if they have the shoe available to them, I would put them in that and say, hey, let's try this for a little while. Let's shelf your cushier shoe for the time being and try to bring that landing more up underneath your hip.
Would you remove road versus like, let's go to a track where there's maybe a little bit more?
There's some benefit to like an uphill running with that in that case too, because it shortens your stride naturally. So those are folks that sometimes I'll recommend get on a treadmill, do some intervals that way, and not sprinting intervals, but do 5 minutes at an incline, walk 1 minute flat, and then kind of go back and forth with that.
Yeah, I mean hills in general. Even if you're not hurt, hills are amazing.
Great.
I mean, especially for high schoolers, I know so many high school cross country coaches. Mm-hmm. Hills are by far the number one thing because it helps with your running economy, mm-hmm. running mechanics, strength training essentially for those kids at that age.
In correlation, I mean, a lot of times if somebody is overstriding or they're landing with their foot way out in front of them, generally speaking, we need to get a little bit more glute activation, posterior chain activation in that mid stance of their running mechanics.
Glute activation. I mean, I feel like that is PT buzzword of the year. You say glute activation for everything.
It's true. I mean,
I say it too. My wife's like, my back's hurting, or I'll have a neighbor like my lower back. I'm like, that's probably glute activation.
Yeah. Did they try it? It probably helped.
Right.
I hate to speak in like blanket terms, but it is very helpful for a lot of things. The demands of running are the same no matter what. I mean, we have to hit certain positions to run, and one of those is extending through your hip. And if we're not doing that, there are other things taking on the brunt of the work.
That's not meant to.
So it's like anything. I mean, if you're lifting a certain way, you're deadlifting, whatever, the demands of that activity are the same. So there are certain muscle groups that are generally more important than others. Okay. And for running, glutes are definitely important. So
anything else on shin splints?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I think with shin splints, the biggest things that I've seen help is strengthening that front of your shin muscle, tibia anterior, and then alternating some of those mechanics. So sometimes that means increasing your running cadence a little bit, so you're not running with that longer stride outstretched in front of you. So that's one thing that I'll go to with folks is take their cadence when I get them on a treadmill, record what their cadence is, and then try to bump that up. Even by 5 or 10 beats per minute can make a big difference.
Interesting. So I think cadence is something that some people can relate to. So again, your watches will keep track of that. Mm-hmm. So what kind of cadence range are you looking for? From my understanding, height makes a difference because
totally.
I have a very lower cadence.
Mm-hmm. What is yours?
I think like 160
okay.
something.
Yeah.
And obviously I think the gold standard is like 180.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, like how am I supposed to increase this? But then again, when you look at the research, most runners are 5'8" to 5'10",
yeah.
which is the normal population, and I'm 6'3".
And that's where that number comes from, is like a study that was looking at elite level marathoners. So there is not a gold standard, I will say. What we do know research-wise is a 5% increase in cadence reduces forces by 20% in the lower leg, and the lower extremity in general. So it does not have to get to 180, but if you are dealing with a leg injury with running, that can be a very valuable tool to increase your cadence. Even by 5 or 10 steps per minute can make a big difference. And the thought process there is we are distributing out the forces over more steps. So the image that I always think of, I don't know if this makes sense in everybody's brain, but in my brain it makes a lot of sense. It's like the bed of nails. Like when there's a lot of nails, the pressure is not as much on any of the nails versus there's one, the balloon pops. It's the same with this. Like you are spreading that load over more steps, which is decreasing those forces. The other thing it does is it decreases your ground contact time. So how much time you have to spend on the ground is a big risk factor when it comes to injuries as well. And we know that by decreasing that ground contact time, it's like if I ask you to squat and hold the bottom versus just go up and down in an air squat, which one of those is harder? The one where you hold the bottom. The longer you're on the ground, the harder those muscles have to work.
Got it.
So, okay. I think that's good as far as Shin Splints.
Yeah, and then number 2 was
IT band syndrome.
Okay.
So, again, super common when it comes to running.
I don't think I've ever dealt with this.
Okay.
But it's just where you feeling pain just on your outside of your
outside
leg,
of
right?
your knee. Yeah.
Outside of your knee.
Yeah.
Does it run up? I always thought IT ran up the thigh.
It connects into your TFL and your glute.
Okay.
But it runs all the way down from those muscles in the outside of your hip, and it connects just below your knee on the outside.
Okay.
It has an attachment into your patella as well, so the most common spot that you'll get pain is on that lateral aspect of the knee, the outside of your knee.
Okay.
And again, that can be where that attaches, which if you feel on the outside of your knee, just below kind of where your kneecap is, there's a big prominent bone right there. Mm-hmm. It's your fibular head. That's where that attaches into, and then it comes up into the outside of your patella as well.
Okay.
Kneecap. Commonly what I see with this from like a clinical presentation is glute weakness. So especially outside of the glute. Again, overstriding is common when it comes to we do a running assessment. Again, puts those muscles at a little bit of a mechanical disadvantage because your foot's landing farther out in front of you. Makes them have to work a little harder. So oftentimes what I see with folks is if I get them into a side plank and ask them just to hold that is a very challenging position. So this is a test that you can do at home is get into a side plank. And you can start, like, knees bent is kind of like step 1. If you can do that for a minute, great. If you can do that then with straight legs all the way, that is kind of like gold standard. If you can do that for a minute, like, you're doing pretty darn well. What I see most often is people can't do that with something like IT band syndrome. So that glute weakness, again, contributes to when their foot hits the ground, they're getting sometimes it's called a Trendelenburg side, which is basically their opposite hip drops. So because that glute can't maintain stability or levelness through the pelvis, that is putting more stress on that outside of the knee.
I think that it's maybe a misconception. I feel like whenever I heard of IT issues, people always are like, well, you have to roll out your IT. Is that a misconception?
Fascia is a whole separate thing. So there are arguments that fascia cannot be deformed at all. There's some famous study that they hung 3,000 pounds off of a IT band, and that's what it took to deform the fascia. My stance on that is we're not necessarily getting a mechanical change of that tissue, but there are neurological inputs into that outside of your thigh. So I do think there's value in foam rolling for something like this, because your nervous system runs the show. So anything that we can get from like a change standpoint when it comes to decreasing sensitivity in that area, decreasing that feeling of tightness, which again is partly a neurologically driven process, is very helpful. So,
and what are we doing for? Again, I've never experienced it, so pretty painful. Does
when
it
you're
stop
rolling
you?
that?
Well, no, I'm saying just
in general.
IT syndrome in general. Like, are you still just load management, or is this time off?
Again, most of the time load management. Like, again, that's going to be my consistent answer for most running things is...
And are they feeling just during the run, or is this
This is something that can linger. Like I said, I mean, when I've had this intermittently before, it's been like I get done running and walking feels like a sharp pain in that outside of the knee. It typically does not stick around longer than that. I have had folks that it does stick around longer than that. And in that case, that's when I'd be like, okay, we need to shut this down for a week or two.
So what have you done for yourself, though, so when you get that pain? Because being a PT, it's like you probably can hold a plank.
Yeah.
So
I'm not the best at it. But
I guess, what was holding you back? Or causing that for you?
It is partly glute med strength.
Okay.
Yeah. So like that's something I'm consistently trying to improve and work on. For me, also, I was wearing cushier shoes. So again, I'm not a go run in Vibrams or barefoot shoes like that. I have barefoot shoes. I don't run in them. But for me, it has worked well for knee pain specifically to go into a lower drop. Now, if we talk Achilles pain or something like that, that's when I'm like, I want you in actually a cushier shoe because it's going to take some of that load off of everything in running injuries is load distribution. Something is taking the brunt of the work that it shouldn't be, and so we're just trying to find ways to offload that or redistribute those forces.
Okay. So, well, let's get to number one then, runner's knee.
Yeah. So, again, runner's knee, percentage-wise, makes up the vast majority, which is why it has its name. Patellofemoral, your patellofemoral joint is where your kneecap and your femur come together. It's, again, a fancy way of saying just pain in the front of your knee. And this is one that it's a catch-all diagnosis. Like, a lot of folks get diagnosed with this that don't have runner's knee. And the way that you can determine, like, okay, is this patellofemoral, is this runner's knee, is with a single leg step down is the easiest way. I see people in the clinic when we have them do that test, they either get pain as soon as they start to lower down to tap their heel on the ground. They'll also talk about subjectively like pain with going down the stairs specifically, sometimes even pain with going up the stairs, but down is usually worse because of that eccentric or that negative that your quad's having to control.
And let me guess, this is glute med?
No, this is quad strengthening.
There we go.
One of the biggest a frustration that I have is a lot of times folks are told that they're quad dominant. Whether they're squatting or they are running, they're like, you are quad dominant. You then go to test those people's quads strength-wise. You have them do a step down, and it is not dominant at all. You think your quads are strong until you start to do some of these things, whether it's a Spanish squat, which I can talk through what that looks like, or even, like I said, as simple as get on a 6 or 8 inch step and see what you can do controlling that all the way down to the ground. And when I say that, it's tapping your heel down, not tapping your toe and then doing a calf raise to help yourself up. It's controlling that entire range of motion.
Interesting. So I would say I'm very poor at that. I'm very hamstring dominant.
Yeah.
And so...
Which is why your deadlift is so good.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. And so my issue is always using my hamstrings instead of quads. Something I definitely have to work on. I don't think I've ever had runner's knee.
Yeah.
I'd say maybe a year and a half ago, I started feeling, I can't even remember where the pain was, if it was on the front of my knee, if it was the side of my knee. And this is when I started using a mini band to activate the glutes. And as soon as I did that, it disappeared quickly.
Yeah.
So, well, let's finish with we could talk all day on different exercises, but let's leave the audience with, if you were to focus on 3 exercises that you could do, whether, I don't know if it's pre-run, daily, weekly, not sure how often, but what would be 3 top exercises that would kind of help bulletproof?
You're talking you don't have any of these injuries.
No issues. Yeah, I would say no injuries.
Yeah.
But what are 3 exercises you should be doing, again, whether it's daily, weekly, to hopefully help prevent anything?
So I think we're going right after the things that we were just saying are weak. So I think a single leg squat, whether that's Bulgarian split squat, a true just step down with some weight, I think is a great option. But targeting that eccentric, so the lowering down, which is you're standing up on a box, you're standing on a bench, and dropping your heel down towards the ground. You could tap the heel down, or you can just go into that squat position. If you don't have any pain or injury, a very valuable position is to drive that knee over your toe, because when you run, your knee goes over your toe. And so again, I think a lot of folks are told when they squat or do lunges to not have your knee. That's a misnomer. Your knee can go over your toes. That's totally fine. And I would say if you are not injured, you're not dealing with pain, starting to do that, again, be smart with how you're progressing it and things like that, but a single leg step down, a single leg squat with your knee driving forward is very valuable to help bulletproof that area.
Yeah, I add that. That's part of my supportive lower is a split squat.
Yep.
I load it. I don't go too heavy with it.
Yep.
But dumbbells, 35, 40 pound dumbbells on the side, do I think 2-3 times by 6 each leg. And I feel like that's pretty sufficient.
Totally. Yeah, and really focus on the lowering down. Focus on the negative, the eccentric, where you are controlling that range of motion all the way down will be super helpful. Second, I would say would be some type of glute med strengthening. So I think a side plank is a great option. You can do a super side plank where you're in a side plank and then doing a clamshell with that. That's probably my favorite.
With band or no band?
With band.
With band.
Yeah.
Okay.
Depending on what level you're at, but that's my typical go-to.
Band on knee or band on ankle?
Knee.
Okay.
Yeah. So in that position, you're in a... Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So it's more true clamshell, not legs straight out and raising a V, but more knees up a little bit and rotating the knee at the knee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Only because the straight leg version of that, if you can do it and do it well, that's the gold standard. If you can do that, that's great. I find most people cannot do that without their hips dropping and using their hip flexor or rotating. So I usually start with side plank clamshell because that bent knee variation is usually a lot more well tolerated.
I'm doing well. I add
You're
that.
crushing.
I do that as well. And I do feel, I guess if you're not feeling your hand or glute on that, then you're not doing it right, or
usually not doing it right.
You need to figure out how to get your glute because you can feel it.
So a couple tips on that. keep your hips stacked. So don't try to open your knee as far as you can. Focus more on keeping your hips stacked up on top of one another. When I'm seeing that exercise, like I don't care how far you open, I want you just to feel like the outside of that hip is firing. And the nice thing with that is the bottom leg gets a good work too. Like if you're actively driving into that bottom leg and keeping your hips off the ground, you get a lot of 2-for-1 there, which is super nice.
Okay.
So, some type of lower leg. So if we're talking like third exercise, some type of lower leg. That can be a calf and tibia anterior combination. Something as simple as a calf raise is very valuable. For the tibia anterior, like I said, I like that seated band around your foot and then pulling the toes up towards you under load. And that can be, again, focusing more on the negative or the eccentric portion of that, where you're letting those toes go back slowly, pulling back up and letting them go slowly. That's something that usually you need a few more reps to get the job done, typically more like 20 to 30. But a set of those at the end of your lower body strength workout can be super helpful. And then, like I said, some type of calf loading. That could be a calf raise. That can be, you can do a little bit more soleus focus where you're seated. But some type of calf work, I think, is very valuable as well.
Okay. So recap, the top 3 are...
Number 1 would be single leg squat or step down or split squat.
Okay.
Number 2 would be a side plank clamshell. Number 3 would be a calf raise and that banded dorsiflexion or that tibia anterior work.
And that should put you in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, that hits a lot of the main things.
Okay.
If you're doing that well, like you're going to put yourself in the best position. I probably should have caveated by saying, like, there's no magic program that's going to keep you injury-free. Like, injuries are way more complex than that. But this can reduce your injury risk quite a bit.
Okay. And I know a lot of people know where you work, but if listeners out there that have issues or want to seek more advice, where can they find you?
So I work at a clinic called Affiliate Physical Therapy. We're located in Grandview. And I also have an office in Gahanna as well. So that's where to find me, affiliatept.com. Phoenix Winnie DPT on Instagram is probably the easiest way. Or Dr. Pat at affiliatept.com for email. You can always email me directly, that's totally fine. But yeah, like I said, do this all the time, love talking to runners and nerding out on all things running.
Yeah, that's nice free advice for me.
Yeah.
And we have Alex Springer in the group as well, 2 PTs.
Yep.
So we can always bounce
Totally. Yeah.
ideas off of you guys and get feedback.
And I would say if you go to this is just a general statement, no matter where you're located, if you go to someone and they're like, just stop running, and they don't give you any other advice, run as far in the other direction as you can.
If you can run.
Yeah. Walk briskly.
Hobble.
Yeah. Do whatever you gotta do to get it. Go somewhere else. Like, most injuries, like I said, there are maybe brief periods of time where it's like, hey, we need to shut this down for a second just to let things calm down. But most things you're able to, like you said, load management is a big key with that.
Cool. Well, I think this will help a lot of people. Again, if you've ever run before, you're going to get something.
80% is what the statistics would show. 80% of runners get some type of injury in a year. So there's a lot. It's a big demand. I mean, you're 2 to 3 times your body weight, which is why I recommend strength training so much. There's a lot of impact those muscles are having to work hard. It's part of why I think you are, knock on all the wood, have been durable for the most part. And I think that's something that is low-hanging fruit for a lot of people to be able to keep themselves healthy in a big training block.
Yeah. And again, coming from the opposite direction where most runners are runners first and then trying to figure out the strength aspect, right? Becoming more strength into the runner's world. So
Totally.
I think this will definitely be helpful. Let's get into next week's workout.
One other thing I was just going to say,
Yeah.
if you have other injuries that you have specifically, like we didn't cover Achilles pain, we didn't cover plantar fasciitis, which are, again, big on the list as well. If you want to hear anything more about those things, let us know.
Yeah, drop it in the comments.
Yeah.
I think, again, we don't plan on stopping anytime soon,
No.
so those topics will be brought up, I think, at a later date. But yeah, if you want something specific or have questions, on the side, leave it in the comments. We'll get back to you. But yeah, let's transition into next week workout. You're on vacation.
Yep. Be in South Carolina.
All right, and so I actually, because of the way, like I had mentioned earlier in the episode, my long run's going to be shorter, so I'm going to be doing this on Thursday, which I'm looking forward to. But we're back to threshold. It was originally going to be a 25 to 30 minute threshold run, continuous, but I think we like that 3x10 so well. We're going to do a 2x15 minute with like a 2-minute jog in between to get that 30 minutes of threshold work. So very similar to the 3x10. We had fun with it last time, so should be a good one.
I'm bummed I'm going to miss it. Like I haven't missed many.
Will you do that?
I'll do it, yeah.
You're going to do it on your own?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be, so I'll be in South Carolina. I was already looking at the weather. I think Columbus is about to get some nice weather next week. South Carolina's going to be toasty.
Yeah, I saw the lows are going to be like low 60s, which would be a nice relief for what we've been.
We got lows in like high 70s for next week, but
keep that heat training going.
Yeah, and I think a good point to make throughout the summer months is on days where the heat's brutal and that sort of thing. Like that's why I think effort is such a big metric to be able to be dialed into well. If I push those paces, like try to push what my probably true threshold pace is on this workout in those conditions, I think I'll probably struggle. So I'm going to try to keep it probably 7 out of 10 on the first 15 minutes and then probably push it into that like 8, maybe close to 9 at the very end of the second rep.
Yeah, I feel like this will be a good one for you. You're how many weeks out from
3?
You're 3 weeks out.
Yeah.
I think this will be a good test. 15-minute block is
be perfect. Yeah.
So see where your fitness is heading into it. 3
Yep.
weeks, man.
I know.
We're getting close.
Yeah.
And what's the taper again for you?
It'll be a week.
So you're pretty much 2 weeks of training left.
Yeah. So I'll train all throughout vacation pretty hard, like normal. These will be like honestly pretty peak weeks, and then I'll hit one big last weekend the week before, and then that whole week we'll kind of take it a little bit easier. I'll talk through more what that looks like, but
cool. Anything else?
No, I think
all right. Good episode.
Always happy to talk through injuries and things like that.
Yeah, I think this one will hit home
Yeah.
with a lot of people. Because again, 80% of people are dealing with it
It's a lot.
at some point.
Yeah.
So remember, work your glute med.
That's right. If
Yeah.
nothing else, glutes.
Yeah. With that, like, subscribe, share. Obviously, we appreciate all the comments and feedback. So keep them coming.
If you know somebody who's dealing with injuries, send this to them.
Spread the word.
Yeah.
All right, Dr. Pat.
Take care, everybody.
Yep. See you next week.